Hi everybody. So this week we're gonna start with our materials. Before we start with materials, there's a few things I just want to, tweak around and, set it up before we start adding the materials so we get, the materials correct. So I want to maybe, adjust the lighting a bit more. Okay, if you don't want to do this, you can skip it. But I suggest you do because it will help later. Okay, so first things before we start the lighting, just check if your computer, is lagging or if there's any issue. You can change something called engine scalability. So you come here, you can pick any setting you want, right? I suggest don't go lower than medium unless your computer cannot, handle it at all. Then you just change to medium. Sorry, low. So the rest you can leave, as you want. Okay, so once you do this, the next thing you can do is you can change your what is it, the screen percentage, right? So right now my screen percentage, you can see it's locked at 58. So you can change it, right? Maybe lock it depending on your computer. So I'm gonna lock mine to 100, and then I'm gonna disable this custom override, right? So now it's gonna be locked at 100, the quality. And then one thing also you can do is you can show FPS, so you know how fast it's running. If you can see on the top right now, I have my FPS counter. Okay, so you just adjust your setting based on this. One more setting that you can change is you go to edit, project setting, find rendering. So on the left here, you scroll down until you find rendering. Click on it. Then you can scroll down. Here, if you see your scene is a bit slow, you can lower this number. So just divide it every time, by 2. Okay, so if you want to lower it, this one will be 1024. So 1024 divided by 2 is 512. Then if you want lower than 512, it's gonna be 256, 128, 64, right? You just divide by 2 every time. Don't put a number in between, it doesn't work, right? So this is how you change this. Yeah, I think that's all you can change from here. Okay, so now back in the project. Okay, the first thing I want to maybe change a bit is maybe I'll the light maybe. Okay, let me check the light. So we go to sun sky, we go to directional light. Okay, this is at 500. Okay, let me try maybe 600. Okay, I think 600 is a bit too much, so I'm gonna change this back to, oh sorry, 500. Okay, just give it like a minute. We'll shoot back. Okay, maybe the source angle I can change to maybe 0.6. Okay, let me check. What's 1.2? Yeah, I think 0.2 is a bit too much, so I'm gonna change this to 0.6. Sorry, 0.6. Maybe 0.8. Okay. Yeah, so that the shadows are not, too soft or too harsh. Okay, then from here, indirect, okay, this one we're gonna leave the same. Then the next thing we can change is we can adjust a few things in our post process. Okay, so I'm gonna minimize this folder, the geometry one, go to the post process. In the post process, you go to exposure. Okay, so once you're in exposure, okay, that one let me go inside so I can adjust a few things. Okay, so as you can see, it takes some time for that like to light up the scene, right? The lumen lighting will take some time. It's just like real eyes. So when you go in the dark, it will take some time for your eyes to adjust. Okay, so from here we're gonna change a few settings. I'm gonna change the histogram one. I'm gonna change this to histogram. And then exposure compensation, I'm gonna leave it on, but I'm gonna leave it at 1. I don't want it overexposed or anything. Okay, then minimum EV, I'm going to change enable it, sorry, and then maximum maybe I'm gonna go to okay, let me go outside, let me check, maybe 10. Okay, go back in. Okay, it's not affecting the outside, which is good. So inside, okay, maybe a bit lower, maybe 6. Okay, yeah, not much difference between 5 and 6, so I'm gonna leave it at 6. And then the speed up and speed down, I'm gonna change both to 20. Okay, so now if I go out, it instantly adjusts the light. If I come back in, it will instantly adjust. There's no like delay, right? Unless you want the delay. So yeah, okay, so yeah, so should be fine, unless you see your computer slowing down or anything. Then you can maybe lower this a bit to maybe 10 10 or something. Try to make both values the same, so when it speeds up or down, it will be the same amount. Okay, so then you can see if it affects your FPS or whatever. Okay, so that's it for the minor adjustment that we have to do. Okay, let me go to this side since a bit bright. Okay, I feel the my gloss is a bit too reflective, so I'm gonna open the material instance, the MI. Okay, I'm gonna enable roughness. So in roughness, I'm just going to pull this a bit. As you can see, the gloss is getting less reflective. Okay, maybe at 0.6, I think. 0.6, let's try. Yeah, I think 0.6 is fine. Or maybe 0.5, 0.5, 4. Okay, it's still reflecting a bit, which is good, and then you can see a little bit inside. Okay, this is how, yeah, I think this is, okay, I think this is good. Yeah, let me see the other side. Yeah, it's still reflecting, but it's not that reflective, so maybe change a bit more. Okay, I'll leave it at 0.35. I'm gonna save it. We can always come back and correct this anytime, so yeah. Okay, now for material. Okay, so we're gonna start creating a material. Okay, for the material, we're gonna go to a website called CG Axis, right? So you create an account on the website, then you go to their free materials. Okay, so top right, you can see there's a free tab. So you scroll, you pick a material that you like. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay, I'm gonna pick this one. Okay, so I'm gonna click on download. Okay, from here you can see there's a few software that you can download it for. You can even download it in JPEG and create your own. So first we're gonna download for Unreal Engine just to see the difference. Okay, so we download the Unreal Engine one. Okay, we let it download. Okay, then once you have it downloaded, you can extract it to your project. You can see there's an info installation. So they say for Unreal Engine, you just copy from your project content. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm going to close this. I'm going to open this content folder. You find your project where it's saved. Okay, So your project, you just find your save location. My one I left at default, so it will be under this Unreal project. I know it's house. Okay, you go in the content folder here, open it. In here, you just drag these two folders and drop it in here. Okay, so once you do this, you can close everything. You just come back to your project. Okay, now you can see the two folders are here. Okay, but I cannot see them. Okay, which is a bit weird. Okay, let me find where it is. Open file. Okay, so we might have to move it manually. Okay, first I'll just copy it to my desktop. Okay, then from here I can drag and bring it back to Unreal Engine. I can drop it, in the content folder. Just give it some time. It's gonna import the project. Okay, give me some warning, but I think it's there already. Okay, so you can see there's a material and a material instance. So here I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna use the instance. Okay. So I just drag and drop, so you can see the material is applied. Now the issue is, if I open this material, double click on it, you can see there's not much control on the material, right? There's not much control. You cannot do a lot of things. Let's say I wanted to rotate the texture 90 degrees, like right now is, let's say this is horizontal, I wanted it vertical, or increase the plank of wood, the size, it cannot. Okay, you can, but it's like very annoying to do in Unreal Engine, because we'll have to go adjust, some maps and stuff. So yeah, we can do is we create our own material. So to do this, we're just gonna go back to our materials folder. Okay, so I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna create a new material here. Okay, I'm just gonna call this M underscore, let's say it be a floor material, right? So floor. So now we have this M floor material. I'm gonna open it. Okay, while I'll have this open, I can just go back to my browser. I can come back to free. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna press back. We're gonna use the same one. Okay, so in here you just pick, any one that you want. Remember we talked about this. So we're gonna pick the JPEG 4K. Okay, I'm gonna download the JPEG 4K. If you want, you can do 8K, depends on your computer, but 4K usually is okay already for material. Okay, so I'll just wait for it. Let's open file, close this. Okay, now you can see in here I have, some, like a few files. Okay, we're gonna need only a few. We're gonna need AU, which is the first one. Second, we're gonna need the diffuse one. Okay, it will be either called color or diffuse depending on which material you pick. And then I'm gonna pick the glossiness one. So AU, diffuse, glossiness, these three materials, I can just drag and drop them in my Unreal Engine. So if I come back to my Unreal Engine, I can drop them in here. Okay, there were some issues. Okay, because I'm extracting directly, so I'm just gonna minimize this. I'm gonna extract them to my desktop first, and then I'm gonna drag them to Unreal Engine. Okay, so now it says importing done. There were some issues. Okay, dismiss this. I can minimize this. I'm just gonna check if all my textures are here. Okay, so we had the AU, diffuse, and glossiness. So I'm gonna select all of these three we imported. I'm gonna right click, convert to regular texture. I'm just gonna convert this. Okay, so I'm gonna press OK. Now you can see that VT is gone. The virtual texture on this is gone. So now it's like a physical one. It's actually in the project. Okay, so my material is here. I'm gonna go back to the material. If you don't have it, just double click here. Okay, it will open the material like this. I'm gonna make this full screen. Okay, we've worked on this one before, right? So I'm assuming you're a bit familiar with this now. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna open the imported textures here. Okay, I'm just gonna make this smaller. Just import these three here. Okay, I'm gonna move this. Okay, this one, and this one. Okay, later we might have to shuffle these two. Okay, I'm just gonna start directly. Okay, so diffuse, we're gonna change the diffuse to parameter. Okay, so you need to know which one is the diffuse. So the diffuse one will be the color one, right? So you can check here always, the diffuse one is the color one. So now you go back to your window, you take this one, you right click on it, you convert to parameter. Okay, convert to parameter. This one we're gonna call it diffuse texture. Diffuse underscore texture. Okay, let's make this a capital one. Okay, so I have my diffuse texture already. Now glossiness needs to be converted to a parameter as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna check which one is the glossiness. Okay, if you can see now they're a bit gone, so I can save them, right? So you right click on them, save them, now they're back, right? So glossiness is the grayish one, right? Okay, then AO has the button, so glossiness is the grayish one. So go back to this. Okay, this is correct, so glossiness is the grayish one, so I can right click on it, I'm gonna convert to parameter. So once you convert to parameter, we're gonna rename this to roughness. Okay, if you clicked out and then you want to rename it, you cannot. You can always come to the left here, you can rename it here. So just right click, just find multiply. Okay, multiply, or you can just press M on your keyboard, M. Okay, you hold it and then you left click. It's going to create a multiply node directly. Okay, so I'm going to connect diffuse to A. Okay, so the diffuse texture, I'm going to connect it to A. Now we need to create a parameter. To do this, you just press S on your keyboard. You just click one time. It's going to open the parameter. Okay, this parameter, we're going to rename it to albedo. Albedo. Okay, now once you have your albedo, you just place it nicely. Okay, so albedo, it means that like the tint, darker or lighter, you know, like a shade on the material. So next we're gonna connect albedo to B. So I'm gonna drag this here. I'm gonna connect the albedo to B. Okay, and then on the albedo, 0 is black. Okay, now the value is 0, it's black. 1 is unchanged. Okay, 0 is between albedo and, you know, like is between 1 and dark. Okay, so we're gonna set this one to 1. Okay, default value needs to be 1, so I can come here, change the default value to 1. Once you've done this, we're gonna connect the multiply to the base color. So multiply, I'm gonna connect it to the base color here. Okay, so one is connected. Now the next one, we're gonna create something called a desaturation node. Okay, we need to create a desaturation node, and then we need to connect the multiply to a desaturation node. Okay, so S, we're gonna create a new parameter. Okay, okay, let's create the desaturation one first. Okay, right click, desaturation. Gonna pick desaturation node. I'll put this somewhere here. Now we hold S, left click, create a new parameter. So this parameter, we're gonna call it saturation. Okay, let's call this one saturation. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to plug the multiply to the desat node. Okay, so I'm gonna plug the multiply here. Okay, I wrote this wrong. Saturation. Sorry, saturation. Okay, make sure we label it properly. Then I'm gonna plug this one to the B. Then this one will go to the base color. Okay. So now we have this part set up. So what I can do is I can move all of this up a bit. Okay, try to separate them. Put them somewhere here. Once you have this, you just select everything. Okay, then you press C on your keyboard. Now we can label this, right? We're gonna call this diffuse. Okay, so now we know this is our diffuse texture. I'm gonna move this a bit lower. Okay, maybe somewhere here, and this one a bit lower. Okay, so we can work on our roughness. Okay, I'll try to align all of them nicely. Okay, next we have to move the roughness. Okay, we need to invert them up. Okay, first you create a 1 minus node. Okay, you need to create a 1 minus node that's gonna invert them up. So I'm gonna right click, then I'm gonna type 1 minus. Okay, so you get the 1 minus. Then the 1 minus, we're gonna connect the roughness to it, right? So we're gonna pick the roughness, I'm gonna connect it to the 1 minus. Okay, next we need to create something called a static switch parameter. Okay, so I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna type static switch. Okay, there, function static switch. Okay, you pick the parameter one. Okay, pick the parameter one. So in here we're gonna rename this to metalness. Okay, metalness, and then we're gonna connect the 1 minus to the metalness. Okay, so I'm gonna connect the 1 minus to the metalness. Now I'm gonna create a multiply node. So you press M, click. Okay, you have a multiply node, and then S, left click again. Now we have a new parameter. So I'm gonna call this parameter glossiness. Okay. Now the glossiness will go on the B on the multiplier. So glossiness will go to B. Okay, and then the 1 minus will go to A on multiply. So the 1 minus goes to A on multiply. Okay. Next thing, we need to connect the multiply to the metalness, right? So I'm going to pull this a bit more to the right. So now I'm going to create something. Okay, let's connect this up first. Multiply to metalness. Then we need to create something called a cheap contrast node. Okay, we right click this, we type cheap contrast. Okay, you pick the cheap contrast, this one. Okay, cheap contrast. Now we connect the metalness to the cheap contrast. So in here, okay, that's the first thing. Now we create a new parameter. We call it roughness contrast. Okay, let me move this. Okay, maybe move this a bit to the left. Okay, nicely. Okay, roughness contrast. So S, left click. We're gonna rename this to roughness contrast. Roughness underscore contrast. So we have this. Now we connect the rough contrast to the cheap contrast B. Okay, so the cheap contrast B, I'm going to pull this here, maybe a bit here. Now this will go to the B part. Okay, now we're going to M left click to create a multiply node. M left click, we have a multiply node. Then S left click, new parameter. S left click, new parameter. So we're going to rename this to roughness intensity. Roughness intensity. Okay. Then the next part, we're going to connect the roughness intensity to the multiply B. Okay. So this will go to B, this will go to A. Then from here, we're going to connect this to the roughness. Okay. So now next thing is we're going to put this under category. So we're going to select all of them. Press C. Okay, we're going to rename this to reflect. Reflect. Okay, let me rename this part too. Okay, so now we have these two. We're going to move on to the last node now. So we're gonna create a new parameter again. S left click. Okay, we're gonna call this metallic. Sorry, I'm gonna zoom in a bit. Metallic. Okay, so this is our metallic. Now we're gonna duplicate this. Select it. Control D. It will duplicate. So this one we're gonna rename to specular. So click here. Specular. Okay. Now we're gonna connect metallic to metallic, right, and then specular to specular. So these two I can actually move them here. Okay. Now metallic will go to metallic, specular will go to specular. Move this a bit to the right. Next we're gonna select the imported AU, right, the ambient occlusion map. Remember this one, the AU. Okay. So you select it, right? You just click on it one time. Then we're gonna go back to our material. Okay, here. From here, we're gonna create something called a normal from height map. So you right click, you create a normal from height map. Okay, so we pick this one, normal from height map. So you're gonna have a tab a bit like this. Okay, so once we go back one more time, just do this just in case. Go back to your project, click on this one. Okay, just go back. Now from here we need to create something called a texture object parameter. So you right click, texture object parameter. Okay, let's type it. Okay, texture object parameter. This one. Okay, pick it. Okay, so now as you can see, it recognizes the AO, the ambient occlusion map directly, right? Because that's why we just went back, and then clicked on it. So this one, this texture object parameter, we're gonna rename this to bump. That will be our bump map. Okay, it's a bit annoying to rename. Okay, edit bump. So the bump will connect to the normal from height map. Okay, so this goes here. Now we can delete this AO already, which is fine. Now we need to create a new parameter first. Okay, S, you click for parameter. Right, we're gonna rename this to bump intensity. Sorry, bump underscore intensity. Okay, bump intensity will go to the normal map intensity. So I can move this a bit here. Right, make it a bit nice. Okay, this one will go to the normal map intensity. Now we select all. We press C. We're gonna rename this to bump. UMP bump. Okay, so now we have the bump. We need to connect the normal from height map to the normal node. Okay, so normal from height map to the normal node here. Okay, so these two I can actually move them a bit here. So now we can move to creating all the controls on our material. Okay, so to control, maybe like scale the material, to rotate it, all these things. Okay, so we're gonna go somewhere on top here. I'm gonna press U on my keyboard, U, and then I'm gonna left click to create a coordinate. Okay, you can see texture coordinate. Okay, is already here. I'm gonna M, click, left click. I'm gonna get a multiply node. So I'm going to connect the coordinate to the multiply A. Okay, now I'm going to right click. I'm going to append. Okay, create an append. Okay, you need to pick the math one, the vector math. Okay, pick this one. Now I'm going to connect the append vector to the multiply B. So place this somewhere here, connect this to B. Okay, now you need to create a new parameter. S, hold S on your keyboard, left click. Okay, so I'm gonna rename this one to U. Make a copy, select it, Control D. So this one will be our V. Okay, so UVW. Remember we did this in 3ds max. So now I'm going to connect U to append A. Okay, U to append A. So this one will become somewhere here. U to append A, and then V to append B. Okay, V to append B. Now we're going to connect this multiply to our diffuse UV. Okay, so maybe make it a bit closer. Okay, to our diffuse UV. So in here. Okay, now it's gonna go the same to the roughness UV. Okay, same thing, we're gonna go to here, and then same thing is gonna go to our normal from height coordinates. I'm just gonna minimize it in case I have to go back in a bit. So now I'll right click on this, create material instance. So now we're gonna call this MI floor. No need to put the instance at the back. Okay, normal from height coordinates V2, this one. Make sure you're connecting them properly, if not your material will not render. Okay, now we're gonna create something called a custom rotator. Okay, so you right click, we're gonna go custom rotator. Okay, this one, maybe this. Okay, maybe this goes a bit to the back. Texture coordinate will go to UVs. Okay, this one. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna connect the rotated values to A, right? Then it will break this connection from before. Okay, so now we should be, having the value 1 here also. I think I missed this part. Okay, as you can see, the material is fine now. So what we can do is we can save one more time, just save it. Okay, so we already have the instance as we made earlier. So let's just go back to the material, and we need to call this part UVW. Okay, so I'm gonna select all of this, I'm gonna press C, I'm gonna call this UVW. Okay, so this will fall under our UVW map. Okay, next we need to create something called a rotation parameter. Okay, so I'm just gonna right click somewhere here. Sorry, not right click, S, left click. Okay, create a parameter. Just call it rotation, maybe UVW. Oh, yeah, just call it rotation UVW, should be fine. Let's go UVW. So then I'm gonna connect this to the rotation angle. Okay, so move it a bit maybe here, connect this to the rotation angle. Okay, this UVW, the priority you can see on the left on the details, we're gonna set this to 1. Okay, now the description we're gonna change to 0 and 1. Okay, it has a description. Okay, we're gonna type here change between 0 to 1, change between 0 to 1. Okay, just leave it like this. Now I'm gonna click on diffuse, find the diffuse panel. Okay, diffuse, this one, the diffuse texture. Okay, diffuse goes to 1, then maybe we create the group for diffuse. We're just gonna call this diffuse, right? Okay, set to 1 already. Okay, maybe this one we call this group UVW. So we're gonna call this UVW. Okay, now on the saturation, we can move saturation to the group, right? We're gonna change it to diffuse, so now it falls under diffuse. We're gonna click on texture roughness, so this one, right? This one also we can change the group to maybe reflection. Okay, change this one to reflection. Okay, so maybe reflect, change it to reflect. Okay, so reflect, we can set the priority to 1. Sorry, the priority under, so metallic and specular. Okay, metallic and specular, find the italic and specular, these two. We can change the group to reflect. Okay, their priority is set to 1. Okay, now we change the value of the glossiness. Okay, so where's the glossiness? Okay, the value here on the glossiness, we're gonna change the default value to 0.5. Okay, default value to 0.5. This one will be 0 to 1. Okay, minimum is 0, maximum is 1. Okay, glossiness, metalness, roughness. Okay, pick glossiness. Okay, metalness, pick maybe roughness and roughness intensity. So roughness and roughness intensity, no need to pick the contrast. Okay, you have to do it manually one by one. Okay, so we're gonna move everything to this reflect group. So this one goes to reflect. Next is the metalness. So metalness is this one. We're gonna move to reflect. Roughness is gonna go to reflect. This one. Gonna change to reflect. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it for this, and then we can move to the bump. We can maybe create a new bump group. So this one, change the group to bump, right? And then we need to set the priority again to 1. Okay, bump intensity, change to bump. Okay, the bump group here, bump. Okay, no. So the group here, okay, the priority is 1. Okay, this one. Okay, maybe the priority for, reflect will be 1 also. Change this to 1. Okay, so now we can save this. We can move on already. So apply, save. Okay, so now we can close this already. So now I have created the material instance, right? So I'm just gonna drag and drop it. Looks the same, right? Okay, so now we're just gonna open our new material. So now you can see we can control so many things on this material, right? So now, okay, we can even change the bump, right? We can even push the bump intensity. Let me make this smaller. Zoom in a bit just to show you how it looks. Okay, so in here, if I increase the bump intensity, right, you can see it becomes less rough or more rough, right, depending on how you want to push it, right. So I'm just gonna reset this. Okay, so the diffuse I'm not gonna change. Maybe you can play with the saturation, right? You can make it darker, lighter, or whatever you want. Albedo. Okay, so this. Okay, roughness. Okay, roughness contrast. We can increase this. UV. So we can move the material, right? Move the pattern if you want. We can move the pattern up or down here. Okay, so maybe before we continue with our material, we just need to make one small changes to the main material. So you go back to your M flow. Okay, you need to change the value of of the bump intensity to 0. Okay, yeah, you just change this to 0, bump intensity. Okay, so once you do, just apply, save, close this. Okay, now you can apply your instance, open your material instance again. Okay, so these are the settings I am using, right? So I think for me, these settings, they look fine. Okay, so once you adjust all of this, you just play around with it, right? So let's see the rotation, right? We can rotate it, right? Any way you want. You can just play around with the settings, right? Like increase the albedo, make it lighter, darker, or any. Is up to you. I'll just leave it like this. Maybe this one at 0.5, right, or 0.25 is like straight, right, 5, okay. So you just play around with yours and you see which setting work best for you. So once you're done, you can just save the material, close it. Let's duplicate this flow material, okay. I click on this, duplicate this flow. Now call this, okay, M flow 1, I'm just gonna leave it like this, M flow 1. So in here, I'm just gonna open this, just to, check the things, right? Okay, so if you want to maybe, align this, because you will have to give the proof of your material. So I will need you to, screenshot like parts of it, like this one, like this is one part, this is the second part maybe, right? So make sure everything like is visible, because this is going to be your submission for this week. So you just, screenshot everything, maybe like this one section, right? So let's say you want to align, all these one, nicely. So you just select all of them, right? So you press Shift A, right? A is left. So when you press Shift A, it's gonna align everything to left. So if I select this again, I press Shift maybe W, is gonna lift this and make this the same height because it's up. Okay, just make sure they are like nicely aligned, like next to each other, so they're not messy. Okay, so save this. Okay, this is fine. Just close this. Okay, so from here I'm gonna create another instance. Okay, create material instance. I'm just gonna leave it as mflow1 instance. Then I'm going to import, let's say, 3 new textures, right? So for this one, I didn't have the AO map. Okay, remember we had 3 maps: AO, diffuse, glossiness. So this one I got diffuse. AO I didn't have, so I'm going to use the height map, and then glossiness will be glossiness. Okay, so once you have these 3, the flow instance material, you just open it, you just activate everything, right? So you activate everything. Okay, okay, now once I have everything on, I'm just going to load a main material. Okay, so this one I can save it. Yeah, let me enable it from the main material here. So I'm gonna open the copy we made, the duplicated one, mflow1. So from here I'm going to load the diffuse texture. So the diffuse here will be this one. So I'm gonna press back here. Okay, now the roughness, right? This one you can see, this is the AO, right? I don't have AO here. I'm going to use height. So I'm going to pick the height map. Okay. Then glossiness, as you can see, this one. Okay, we scroll. This is the glossiness. So the glossiness, I'm going to pick this one. Okay. So now if I press apply, I save this, close this, don't need it anymore. So now if I open the instance, now you can see the instance also, it has the bump and all of this, right? So here again, I'm gonna change everything. So okay, so here I can just drag and drop. So drag and drop it here. Okay, this is the AO, so this will be the height. Okay, you can just download any texture that you want, any custom one. So once I'm done with this, I'm just gonna save. Okay, now I'm gonna assign that material to the flow. Pick this, just drag and drop. Right, so you're gonna have something like this. So now you can maybe increase the size, maybe to something not too big. Right, so maybe like this. And this one definitely I'm gonna go something like 0.3, right? So to make the strips a bit longer. Okay, maybe more, 0.1. Okay, they become a bit distorted. You can see they start getting the holes and stuff. So maybe 0.35, right? Yeah, cannot stretch more than this. It's gonna break the texture. So yeah, so this is how you use, the materials. So for your submission, you just screenshot the first material you created, right? So this one, you just full screen it. You screenshot like the nodes, right? So just make sure it's visible. So screenshot this. Maybe these. Okay, these two cannot. Okay, maybe these two. Screenshot it. Then maybe this one, and then this one. So as a proof of you've done the material. That's one. Then for the second material, the same one. Just open this. Then you show that different textures. So again, screenshot one, screenshot two, and screenshot three, right? So I know all the materials are there. Okay, one thing that's nice about Unreal Engine, what we can do is we can use their own library, okay, their own texture library. Okay, if you can see, I can see moving things here, right? So this would be in the post process, so don't worry about this. So now, right, should be fine. Okay, let's do some use one of the textures from Unreal Engine. So if you go to the quickly add to project, you go to Quixel Bridge. Okay, you need to allow access. Okay, make sure you're signed in. Right, so you make sure you're signed in. Okay, once you're signed in, you can download things into your library. So let's start with just do some materials outside. So I'm gonna go to maybe surfaces. Usually they have one architecture tab. Okay, so yeah, archways. So in here we can go to surface, right? We got clean interior tiles, all these stones, right? Okay, maybe we pick one, plaster. Let's do one plaster. Okay, so maybe we want this one wall paint, right? Yeah, you can open it like maybe a bit bigger so you can see. This one. Okay, so maybe we see concrete. Okay, so okay, let's see into this what they have. Not that great. Okay, I'm just gonna search for some materials. So in here, right, I search for concrete. So now I have all these concrete types. This is painted. Okay, let me download this one. Let's try this one. Okay, so I'm gonna pick this. From here you can see this quality. So medium is 2K, low is 1K, which is 1080p. So this is 2K. Okay, this is 4K, this is 8K. So depending on your computer, you can download the material. I'm just gonna use a high quality one, right, for the sake of the tutorial. Just gonna download this. Okay, you wait for it to download. Then once it's downloaded, you're gonna see it has the tick. Okay, you just click add. Okay, now it should be added to our project. So I can minimize this. Now in here you can see there's a mega scan folder that's created, and then it has all the painted, right, this surface that we downloaded. So in here you can see we have the texture, so I can just drag it and drop it. material. So maybe this can be, the interior wall material, right? Yeah, I think it looks okay. Right, so you can, assign the material to all of the things that you have, right? So this is the balustrade, this is the wall, so wall here, maybe this one, there's, right, you can start assigning your textures. Okay, not this one, this one is a different material. Okay, maybe not this also. Right, so you can start assigning all of these materials. Right, so you can have whatever material you want, and if you see, it looks nice. So I'm just gonna, download a new one from Bridge. I want something more gray or white. Yeah. Let me try this one. So basically that's the material. So you need to finish, adding all the materials to your project for next week. Okay, that's it. Thank you guys.